I'll start with a product sample that I'll circulate around you could play with while I speak. I will leave you to identify a green fishing net somewhere here, and wood fiber and textile, which is velvety, and you can feel it while you have a play around. Andreas has raised the bar, and now I'm a little worried about the next 15 minutes. He's made my life harder. Anyways, we'll try. So we all know what a shipping container looks like, but most of us do not know, at least outside our industry, that the floors are made from tropical wood from the forests in Asia. My name is Amit Mukherjee, and at Circular Box, we are here to change that narrative. When we looked at the problem, it just got deeper and deeper as we dug into it. Today, there are over 45 million containers on the planet, with an average injection of 4 million containers from the factories in China every year. And to enable this, over 5 million trees are chopped just to make the floorboards of these containers. Did not sound sustainable to us. And when, as humans, we see the plastic debris in the oceans, we found out that nearly 10% of that debris is fishing gear, the nets and the mooring ropes. So we started thinking, how could we combine these problems into a solution that works for the maritime industry and for the planet as well? And ta-da! So we resolved, we talked about replacing wood with recycled waste. We introduced a fully recycled floor made from fishing nets and other waste that cuts the CO2 by 64% and the operational cost by over 55%. The image you see on the left is a traditional floorboard today. A bit of fact, there are 19 layers of plywood glued with toxic PSF chemicals that makes one plywood floorboard today. On the right, that's our product, which is 100% recycled, made with fishing nets, plastic waste, and wood fiber to hold the consistency. I'm just going to see if this works. This dramatically reduces the repairs. And from the industry numbers, we've noticed that when you look at the LTV, the lifetime value cost and the life of a floorboard, it's repaired on an average 2 to 3 times in the life cycle of a container, which then we can reduce it. And you recycle at the end of its life. When you look at the solution and its benefits, which looks a lot like Andreas' slide now, we have costs and impact, which has obviously taken the biggest attention, where we are able to calculate contributions directly to 3 sustainable development goals, which the shipping companies are able to reflect in their ESG reports, and their customers, the likes of IKEA and Nike, are able to show in their Scope 3 emission reductions. As technology, we are not using any of the natural resources, and that has a contribution to the compliance element, which I will touch upon in a moment. Now, when you look at this, traction became very important to us. We are currently at TRL stage 5, where we are co-creating the solution with the shipping companies just to get the right product market fit. We have 2 signed LOIs with 2 of the top 5s with trial commitments, and we are in conversation with the 3rd. We are hugely privileged to be supported by the Danish Maritime Fund that just completely reiterates the purpose for why we are here. And going back to the clients, it's really important to co-create the solution with them, because this did happen before. This has worked and been done before, but not the way the industry wanted. So their biggest ask was that you make your products exactly the size it is today, that it fits in the container as is and does not change the factory lines. So we listened and we followed, and our products now are exactly the sizes as listed in the container IICL certifications, and are ISO certified. And these will become the one-to-one replacement for the container floorboards that are there today, which means this opens a whole window of opportunity for the repair industry. And that eventually means that slowly the wooden floors become the past and recycled floors become the future. Sounds simple, but it has not been that simple. The material science has been the hardest to crack, because when you look at recycled materials, and we've been very committed to ocean waste or cleaning up ocean waste, and the tensile strength of waste with ocean salt makes it less strong. So to crack it, it has been very difficult, but we managed to crack the material science. We've got to the tensile strength and had an ISO test certification. We are now moving to the design, because as you can feel it, it's heavy. So we are now in redesigning it, introducing longitudinal cavities to take the weight element out. And then we go back to certifications, and we look forward to testing it with our customers at the end of the year. So 2026 has been about R&D, test, prototype, iteration. And the next 2 years will be about industrial trials and growth. And hugely important, the last bit, because when you look at the market size of 45 million number that I just talked about, the 2-year trial period becomes very crucial for the likes of Maersk and the other companies. And if you look at, and I talked about, we'll come back to the deforestation or the regulations as an example. The regulations, especially the EU deforestation regulation that has kicked in with the timeline, is starting to become from the nice to have to a must have for these container operators. So we are in this sweet phase of the spot where we do have an absolute realistic shot at a 1 billion euro market. But that's in the long run. That's in the time when we are looking at wooden flooring for millions of containers. But if we narrow it down to the next 2 years, you can generate 10 million euros of revenue just from 5 enterprise clients. There are over 2 million in the order book from the top 5 customers in the factories in China. So we've been asked, how quickly can you scale? And even if we look at just less than 1% of the trial volumes, you're talking about 10 million euros. So this is also an overview for an investor to come in and see what the opportunity is and how quickly one can grow. So talking about traction and speaking to customers, we had to move our base of R&D and everything to start to look at suppliers in China, because the customers were very clear. If you want this to work, it has to be in China, and it has to be closest to where the containers are manufactured in Dongguan. So as we know, nearly 100% of container manufacturing happens out of China, and it's definitely 100% for the top 5. So producing it here in Europe and then shipping it all the way to be fitted in was just not working when you look at carbon emission savings and the cost of it. So that's why we reworked, and this has been a big discussion point, and we have reworked our testing to align it with the industry regulations, with the industry, the customer sustainability targets, and how the industry just works in general. So that's about traction. I haven't talked about who we are. We are an extremely unique mix of technical and commercial knowledge, where I bring in the shipping experience, having worked in container industry for 20 years. And my co-founder is a material scientist who specializes in metal and material corrosion science, which is very appropriate for what we're doing. We have a newly appointed board, which we're very proud of, and it's been very handpicked, where we combine manufacturing experience and commercial experience that has been hugely helpful to guide us to the level and the stage we are and take us further. But that's not it. We need more. That's why we are here. And our ask is for Maritime Stars and all the bodies that we are working with to mentor us on our strategic, commercial, and financial journey and take us to the next level. I've just put two broad categorization. We need help with the manufacturing narrative when every investor says, why China? Right? There is a reason. There's a very industry-specific reason as to why it's China. We struggle with time and technology, whether it's compression technology, whether it's extrusion technology, when it gets technical, which gives them more strength and output. And when industry wants it very clear and very fast, that's been a bit of a battle. And the commercial strategy, do we do the trial and stop at the top 5, or do we go big to the smaller customers and open in the market? And all of these are extremely crucial at the moment as we start to fundraise, in addition to the funding we have. So we're starting in August, and we're seeking to raise 750,000 euros for an 18 to 24 month runway to take us to the next level for trials and go to the markets. That's pretty much it for the flooring section, but that's not it. We just begin, and we just got started. We have a grand vision to take this to the next level, where we look at replacing walls which are made of Corten steel. And if you may know, that's hugely carbon intensive with the rare earth minerals that combines. To replace them with glass fiber composite panels from decommissioned wind turbine blades. And with our partnership with DTU Wind and Energy, we know it is possible. We have figured out the mathematics of it, but we will start that in 2030. So that's it. Once again, we are Circular Box, and we convert ocean waste to container floors. I thank you for your time, for listening to me, and I open the floor for questions. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amit. I can start out with a question from Lars Gerner. How and to what quantities will you be able to source raw materials?
Not the first time. There have been plenty that we have been able to source, and calculations say there is enough waste to carry on for the next 25 years. It's not garbage that we're doing, it's sorted plastic, but our initial math has gone up to the volumes that we can at least suffice for the 2 million containers that are in the order book. Beyond that, we haven't done the math yet.
Plenty of feedstock.
Yes.
Any questions? Yep.
So I was just wondering, in terms of the whole manufacturing narrative, what's your thoughts there? Are you going to look into some contract manufacturing setup or partner, or do you want to kind of build and own your own factory set up in China? What's the thoughts? Because that's, wherever you go, has a profound impact on your cost and your journey.
So trust is a big element over here. So we already partnered with a supplier that came recommended from the Danish industry of their office in China, who was a supplier for the Nordic companies. And we will enter into a joint venture where we lease their premises and the labor, and we invest in the machinery and the patents for them to produce on our behalf.
Yep.
I have two questions. The first question, I saw there was a delta between the current price level, the wooden floor, and the floor you are presented here, 300 euro delta, I believe. Yeah. How do you manage that?
I can explain that in a moment. I talked about the LTV, the operational cost today, which is not apparent when you look at when procurement purchases a floor versus operations in a shipping company manages the operational costs through third-party suppliers. And that's a gap over there. So yes, there is a lower procurement cost, but the overall LTV or the cost to the company goes up over the lifetime, which is not accounted for. So we're going in higher in the market, but because it does not need repairs, it's stabilized. And then towards the end, we would introduce a cost to repurchase it and recycle it ourselves.
The next question, the supply chain, the raw materials, is it accessible in China?
Yes, definitely. So we are sourcing fishing nets from there, wood fiber. We've already spoken to one of the large global Swedish manufacturers, I'm not going to name them, but on the wood fiber element of it. But yes, it is available. Our key focus has also been to see how we can source recycled waste or waste from Europe to reduce the waste challenge and use that as the raw material. And shipping companies have offered containers free of cost for the backhaul trade.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Henrik Sørensen from HVMS. Thanks for a very good presentation, and nice to see that we can recapture waste from sea. You talked about funding and questions about China, and so where do you see your funding is coming from? Who are the investors for your company?
It's business angels primarily and family investors, because we are not a VC case yet. We have a period till we are growing 10x. So we've started making a list of all the business angels, family investors, and European funds that can help us in the next 2 years of journey before we go global into the VC market.
Any considerations about a co-fund out of China or related to China?
Not yet, because we are waiting for the approval for patents and everything that we can secure before we go over there. So, thank you. Yeah.
Any more questions for Amit? Let me just check if there are any. No. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.